All right, good morning na karibu sana. It is the 1st of October 2024. Tumefika fourth quarter officially. Saini kuteremka namna hii. This is the only month that has, I think, 2 3-day weekends.
Oh, yes. Yes.
2 national holidays. Saini kuteremka hivi towards Christmas. 85 days.
85 days.
Yes.
Yes.
As we continue the countdown, karibu sana. This is the Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie in the morning.
And I'm used to Stanley Nyaringitas. This is the first day of October. And this particular day is the first of so many things. By the way, happy International Day of Older Persons.
Older persons.
Older persons.
Okay. Older persons.
Yes.
Kwa wazee wote.
On behalf of wazee wote, Fred amewakilisha. Naona nywele white imeanza kutokea so.
Iko hapa ni vile nimepaka rangi usio.
Oh yes, it is also that day that the Social Health Insurance Fund, the benefits of it take effect. Maneno ya NHIF tumeacha last month, but then as of 9th of this particular month, the benefits will still continue on or before that date.
Until 9.
Until 9.
NHIF benefits.
Yes. But then after that, hakuna maneno in
But
NHIF.
kicks in today.
Today,
officially.
Yes.
It is also a very big day for the Deputy President. We will know whether or not that motion for his impeachment will be tabled before the National Assembly. And it features on a lot of the headlines. You see the Deputy President on the Nation, on the People Daily, on the front page of Taifa Leo, on the front page of the Standard.
Yes.
But at least on the Business Daily and the Star, they go with the shift from NHIF to SHIF. So we'll be discussing a lot of this with our panelists.
And interestingly, the panel today is people for the ouster and against the ouster. Yes. So it's going to be an interesting
James
panel.
Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba, David Ole Sankok, East Africa Legislative Assembly member, and former MP from Mwingi Central, Joe Mutambo, will be in studio for that conversation. Osikose.
Oh, yes. And then getting into matters, Biashara Tuesday, Kenya Revenue Authority and its role on trade facilitation, particularly for the micro, small and medium entrepreneurs. We'll be just getting to know how from the formal as well as the informal sectors, kuna wale they have a very nicely set up, they have employees, as well as extending to the street vendors who are unlicensed. We'll be getting to know from KRA why these people are unlicensed and yet they accrue so much revenue for the country. And then later on, at home, if you'll be watching this at home, ama kwa ofisi, how is your home set up in case of a fire emergency? Mnaishi kwa plot, you are 50 of you, and then third floor, moto itoke. What do you do? Jose Njuki Imwengunjiri, he's a fire safety officer from the Africa Fire Mission. He'll be here to tell us about that.
All right. Quick look at the dailies, and we start off today with the Business Daily. It talks about SHIF, how workers' take-home pay will shrink on SHIF deductions, and I think this is one of the biggest discussions.
Yes.
Utakatwa pesa kiasi gani? Wamekuwekea hapo mbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Business Daily. We'll be back to take a look at that later.
The whole breakdown on how much you earn versus what utakuna katwa.
On the Star, they've done something different. All you need to know about SHA.
Yes.
The target is to register 12 million Kenyans to cover 50 million, including their dependents. And they've broken down some of the services and the benefits you'll get on the front page of the Star. So
far, they say about 1.2 million thereabout have been registered. Yes. And the target is 12 million.
Where?
Kuna kazi hapo. But then they say again, if you walk into a hospital right now, actually this morning, if you're going to a hospital and ulikuwa nadhani utatumia NHIF, you'll be forced to register.
So they're forcing you to register?
You'll have to register for, yes, star 147 hash. Do that this morning as you continue.
All right. But the big story, of course, is a looming impeachment of the Deputy President. Ruto's hand in DP ouster is the front page of the People Daily. On the Standard,
case against Gachagua is the big headline. And, well, the Standard yesterday as well as today is very busy. Has quite a number of stories.
Looks like a Tanzanian paper. We'll be back to take a look at
this plethora of stories here.
Gachagua on trial.
Na hiyo picha pale akiomba Mungu Baba nisaidie.
Ni ukweli.
Because today, Na ingine pia kiomba.
Sasa hii ainua mkono. Kama ameangalia nini? Mlima.
Alafu hiyo hapo chini the hoodie when you
His Excellency Rigiji, God loves you.
God loves.
I think this is the best photo I've seen so far. The Deputy President and the mountain there.
Yes. Do not touch this mountain.
Magazeti ya Tanzania, Mwananchi hapa anasema misimamo ya viongozi. Warioba afichua ya hayati Sokoine. Today, kusema kweli, I tried going through the front page of the Mwananchi. Hata utashika ni nini wanasema leo. Acha to move on. Maybe hapa taelewa. The Citizen, government conclusion of LNG talks in sight. Now this is something interesting because they say the government is confident that negotiations with investors on the host government agreement for the proposed liquefied natural gas projects in Lindi region will be concluded before the end of the year. Very soon tutakuwa tunatoa gas hapa nini?
Uko Tanzania.
Very soon.
Okay.
Once this project comes into play, this will be very interesting, even for Tanzania itself.
Yes. At the very top, you remember us telling you about this story. I think it was it last month, thereabout, that gang rape that happened, and it involved police officers as well. They're saying 400 life sentences for gang rape may appeal, quote unquote.
But at least they've been sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Yes.
Whether or not their appeal is successful, this is a big story and a big win for the judicial system in Tanzania.
Yes.
We cross the border into Daily Monitor, and yes, that story you're talking about, golden oldies, wisdom of the ages, and they're very positive about this. So, kuna wazee kadhaa wale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele.
Yes.
Sema, with a life expectancy of 68 years in Uganda, reaching 80 is a milestone that only a few can achieve. As part of celebrations to mark the International Day of Older People, we spoke to a few Ugandans in a class of their own to drink from their cup of longevity. Very nice words for the older people in society.
And he is about 100 years, mwingine 88, mwingine pako also 88, and then there's there he's that's Stavan Magozi. He's 104 years old.
Hey, this is only Daily that has put this story on the front page. Respect for the elderly persons.
Yes.
Day of Older People.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be telling you about this in our diary shortly. But then in the front page of the New Vision, you always realize how Uganda is very big on matters education. They say the UNEB, this is the electoral board in Uganda. Exams, why 1,800 schools are in trouble.
Okay. You say the electoral board or the examinations?
The examinations board, I beg your pardon, yes.
Yes, and they also mention 86% older persons neglected. This is according to a report. None of the Kenyan dailies has any of that story on the front pages, I can assure you.
The same way you saw that Uganda is planning to, I think, bring a bill to have the young people respect the old people.
They need to. Like, they should bring it to Kenya as well. Kuna few young people who are lacking in that respect. Right, so these are just some of the headlines. Regionally, we'll back take a look at the local dailies in depth.
Yes.
For now, let's take a look at Today in History.
Before that, yesterday kulikuwa kunanyesha zaidi, by the way. I was told, I think at that time when it was raining, I was asleep. Let's take a look at what it is going to be like today. We had warned you that it's going to be raining yesterday, but then if you're in Nairobi today, you might just not need your umbrella until into the evening. It's going to be cloudy though until midday, and then after that, getting into the evening, usiku.
Your umbrella lazima utainid.
Okay, yeah, utainid kama unatoka job by usiku. Usipande gari hapo and it's raining.
Na kuingia kwa nyumba na matope ya rain.
Yes.
Washa viatu huko nje.
That's in Nairobi. If you're in Eldoret and it's environs hapo hivyo in Uasin Gishu, you'll really need that umbrella because as of midday, from 11 a.m. all the way into around 3 p.m., it just might be raining heavily, about 60% precipitation and thunderstorms as well. So prepare for that. After that, nikajua vizuri. If you're in Kitui, they say it's 18 degrees right now. It's cloudy getting into the morning. No rainfall in Kitui today. Leo ni jua vizuri as high as 29, yeah.
Itawaka huko Kitui proper.
Yes. And finally, let's see somewhere where tunaonanga pia jua ikiwaka proper. to the coastal region, 23 degrees Celsius right now, 6 a.m. Though this might itapanda into 29, but then it's going to be cloudy, and then getting into the rest of the day, temperatures similar to that, 29, 28, but no rainfall in Mombasa as it stands. And then speaking of what to expect, again, in our news diary, first off, we do anticipate a parliamentary group meeting for the Kenya Kwanza members of parliament earlier today. This is going to be chaired by President William Ruto. We wait to see how that will be happening. One of the main agendas for this meeting is going to be the planned ouster motion for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. This was confirmed by the majority leader on Sunday, so we wait to see how that will be happening. And also, around 2:30 p.m. today, the ouster motion, the impeachment motion for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will be having our eyes there, our ears there into the National Assembly, just to update you what will be happening, every single activity in that National Assembly. Stick around for that. Also today is the Day of Older Persons, so do expect a number of activities around the country, just non-governmental organizations, also the government giving food aid to people who really need them, because you'd find in certain groups, these older persons are left without, or rather with minimal care, so wanahitaji hii chakula sana, so you could also be part of that. That is just a nutshell of what is in our news diary this particular day. That and a lot more. Stick around for that. Right now though, tuingie kwenye magazetini.
We start off with the Business Daily today because it goes with the matters health, how workers' take-home pay will shrink on shift deductions. This is the biggest concern among employees. Shift is said to be the largest pay slip deduction on after payee. Employers are concerned about breaching 1/3 rule. Yes. So kama ulikuwa already ushachukua loans, pay slip imbabaki tu na 1/3. This one now you'll have to breach because this one is a statutory deduction. Immediately lazima ikatwe 2.75%.
And this may see for firms seeking legal redress.
Yes, because now you have to really go back and you, as an employee you can actually sue your employer for breach of that. So they've done a breakdown of how much you'll pay. If at all you're paying about 50,000, deductions go up to 10,727. If you're earning, let's say 100,000, your deduction will be 27,000 in total.
Wow.
So do expect this to be the biggest discussion. Yes, 100,000 unabaki na 72,335. Yes. Jitayarishe. Mambo inakuwa moto. Elsewhere.
Chukua calculator anza kufanya hizo calculations sahi because
it's good to actually be keen on this.
Yes.
Because at the end of this month the game changes for you completely. Ile pesa ulikuwa umezoea kupata inageuka. Inakatwa 2.75%. So after payee, which is the biggest deduction, then shift comes next, 2.75%.
So if you're planning on the whole December vacations, nini na ulikuwa umezoea ma savings hapa na hapa, you'll have to recalculate how your savings go.
If at all you're planning to get a SACCO loan or a bank loan, this will be a factor and a serious one as well, because it will affect that 1/3 rule. Another story given prominence on the front page of this paper: factories' nighttime power charges set to for fresh review. The Ministry of Energy will fast-track the review of rules for cheaper nighttime power ahead of the proposed opening up of electricity transmission and distribution to the private sector early next year. Other quick highlights: shilling holds steady despite globally weakening dollar. Court eases freeze on old mutual accounts, and finally check transaction values fall to 4-year low. Squeeze watu watumii check sana. All right, that's the Business Daily this morning. Let's take a look at the Star. Remember, today, being a Tuesday, it is a free copy of the Star, and it contains a MyGov pullout.
Yes.
So, yes, grab yourself a copy of the Star, because remember, it's...
Smart people read the Star. And I love the fact that they have a special coverage of this. All you need to know about the Social Health Authority, which is management of the Social Health Insurance Fund. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages all about this. And I love the fact that on page 4, the first story there, they ask you, visiting a hospital, what you need to know about the new fund. What I was telling you earlier, when you just walk into a hospital, they'll request you. Tuseme wanakuforce, but then they'll request you. You'll really need to register. And I was dialing *147#. So if you're listening to us this morning, you can go through this process, because the star says it's a process that should take you less than 10 minutes. So uki enter *147#, it asks for your Kenyan ID number, and then it has, no, okay, I had registered before, so right now, it may prompt up, but then if it's your first time, it will give you about 3 options there. You follow that very simple process.
You take me through that, because I'm
yes.
here to register, but I need to.
You don't even need ukona credit, nini, no. It's a very, very free process. So
zile maswali zote watu wako nazo about SHA and SHIF, the STAR.
The STAR has all the compilation, all this about 7 pages insert here, all those questions you need, the difference between SHIF and SHA, all that in there.
Okay.
Other conversations that are on the STAR that you probably need to know this morning. Well, pale chini, a whole audit. Gathungu exposes sorry state of county hospitals. Now this is, I believe it's probably linked to even the SHA, as conversations continue about SHA and the Social Health Insurance Fund, this new scheme. Are county hospitals prepared for this particular scheme? That is one of the biggest conversations. That is the STAR and a brief of it.
All right, let's take a look at the People Daily. Now, wale wanafinya, they're not holding back. Ruto's hand in DP's ouster.
Yes.
So president's key leader in parliament now leads Rigath's removal bid as speaker appears set to play ball on day of reckoning. And that discussion about the speaker and the comments he made outside parliament
and
regarding House business, and many people asking.
And before him, even the deputy speaker.
And the deputy speaker as well. They've both made declarations about this.
Openly.
So what's the point of going on this process either way? Yes, SHA also features on the front page the making of Grand Health Sham. Now, the People Daily are bembelezi. Nilisikia minister akisema the CS was actually trying to compare
the social health
and Hustler Fund.
And Hustler Fund. And the members of parliament then that committee are asking her how. Alafu anaangalia nyuma aone kama
there was no help.
Wow.
So from where shall your help come from?
I love what you did there.
Right. Morara Kebaso was arrested yesterday.
Yes.
Gen Z Morara arrested for exposing lies. Is yet people still don't know where he is. They've been chasing those cars the whole night.
Okay.
Yes. Because Kidogo, he was at the DCI headquarters. Now they don't know where he's been taken to. He's still incommunicado. His phones are not going through. His parent and his lawyers have not been able to access him. So yes, that's another big story.
Which reminds me, today there's a planned demonstration in Nairobi. The Gen Z demonstrations, which were really significant around June, July there, are back. So today, even as we're going to take a look at the traffic, leo kunaweza kuwa na some activities. Yes.
That's
prepare for that.
Yes. On the Standard, which is a very busy page today, looks like a Tanzanian paper. So from here, you can't even see it clearly. So case against Gachagua is a big story there. Stanley.
They say Parliament is expected to start the process of impeaching Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua today. The courts 4 times yesterday turned down the DP's plea to stop that is questioning his fitness to be the country's second in command. But then the court has told the parties involved wakutane the 10th of October to finalize maneno yote na wazungumzi maneno yote as well. Other conversations that, they have listed the issues raised in motion, and we'll be taking a look at this on State of the Nation later on. They also talk about whiter snow, MPs say of defaming SHIF saga. Now, Standard have gone with a different angle on this social health insurance fund. So today, the country will witness a big shift in the health sector with the rollout of the SHIF, even as MPs cleared air on claims plan is fraught in graft. So they go with the graft conversation as well. They have a quote there by the chair of the Committee on Health, that is Robert Pokose, who says, Safaricom's role in the consortium involves overseeing the entire project, ensuring that all consortium partners adhere rather adhere. Nilisikia jana kwa Friday kwa nini ya Betty. It's adhere, not adhere. Yes.
Well, we shall adhere to that.
Adhere to the contract's terms. Something else that other dailies are not going with. UN extends Haiti mission by 1 year. So the UN Secretary Council has extended its authorization of the multinational policing commission in Haiti, but without any call to transform it into a UN peacekeeping mission. That is on page 10. There are more conversations at the very top scroll. First off, budget boss lays bare Treasury's secret Adani trip into international matters, battle of the deputies in US election, and matters business. You have 4 days to give tax opinions. You can read that on page 30. Na kwa maswala ya michezo, Manchester United fans, I know it's going to be a very long week for you. The coach says, please give me one more chance. Do you think he needs one more chance? Mimi sioni.
The joke was between Eric Ten Hag and Rigathi Gachagua. Who has more time? But talking about bigger teams and better sports, it's on the back page of the Star. They talk about the great Arsenal. Yeah. Arsenal set-piece guru ready to prey on PSG's weak points of Matters Champions League. Big games tonight. Arsenal hosting PSG. Barcelona with the young boys. Leverkusen, AC Milan. Dortmund, Celtic. Inter Milan, Svena Zveda. PSV, Sporting CP, and Bratislava versus Manchester City. All matches kick off at 10 p.m. tonight. So for lovers of the Champions League, something to look forward to today. Finally, the Daily Nation. Gachagua on trial. The deputy president...
Still have to.
Oh, okay. Before we get to Taifa Leo, or Mali ameinua mkono. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is today set to find out if MPs will make true their threat. Will they? And table on the floor of the House a motion for his removal from office. They try to break down the numbers, how many have signed, how many are needed to sign for the motion to actually be tabled, and how many need to vote to pass that motion.
The numbers really, really look good.
Well, they have the numbers, yes, but the question is the grounds for impeachment. Will they stand? Hapo ndio maneno iko. In as far as SHIF is concerned, they talk about Umtata, 6 to block SHIF rollout as MPs approve 104 billion shilling system. Activist Morar arrested at city office is there on the front page, Pale Juu. And there's a relief as missing Mombasa taxi driver is found alive in Migori. Those are the main stories on the front page of the Daily Nation. Pale nyuma kuna story nyingine.
Yes, on the back page, there's a very interesting story, which we were taking a look at yesterday. They're saying UDA as well as Wiper not meet the threshold for the number of branches they should have countrywide. So here they say 856 million cash shilling windfall for President Raila parties. The Registrar of Political Parties, who is also pictured there, that is Andy Rito, says they have begun disbursing funds for the past quarter.
Right.
This is about 1.2 billion cash shillings allocated to political parties.
Tukimalizia magazeti pale kuna Taifa Leo na wanasema ainua mikono. Gachagua asema yuko tayari kutimuliwa mamlakani huku juhudi zake za kukimbilia kotini zikigonga mwamba. Maombi manne ya kutaka mahakama isimamishe bunge kuanzisha harakati ya kumng'oa mamlakani yakosa kufaulu jana. Ahimiza umoja wa watu wa Mlima Kenya hata iwapo atabanduliwa, na hoja ya kumtimua yatarajiwa kuwasilishwa bungeni leo. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili, na kuna picha pale ya Rigiji amevaa jezi imeandikwa God loves you, ameangalia Mlima Kenya na ameinua mikono kwa maombi.
Yes.
Masuala mengine, Morara pia akamatwa. Ondoka NHIF, ingia bima ya SHA, na Kalonzo tena azuiwa kuona Waititu DCI. Yes. Ferdinand Waititu, the former governor of Kiambu, was also arrested yesterday.
For what he said.
For some things he may have said,
yes,
that we shall not repeat here, to square arrested sisi. Lafu. ODM UDA wavuna mamilioni, the story you're mentioning on the back page of the Daily Nation. Na tukimalizia magazeti tuangalie karakacha sasa. The cartoon on the Standard. Yes. Hapa amebeba anaitaje msalaba.
Yes, msalaba imeandikwa censure motion.
But I don't know why they're going with the censure motion. I think the impeachment is bigger.
The bigger, even for today. And the gentleman behind him is... who is this?
This must be Cleo.
Okay. Ongeka kwa...
He's not a regular. He's not a regular in the cartoons.
Yeah,
so we still do not know if it's him. Choro kwanza tutajua ni yeye.
But then this person carrying this msalaba wanaelekea huko Mount Kenya.
Anaenda kwa mlima.
Yeah. Hiyo ni ya Gamzo leo.
Aha. On the Daily Nation, the cartoon, they talk about the perfect storm. Impeachment. So they have an image there of the deputy president and the president also on board.
Well, yes.
So one of them is trying to hata hii staelewa vizuri. Ana drown ama anafanya nini? Because bunge iko ndani.
Anasikiza ground.
Anasikiza ground.
Anasikiza ground na ground ni maji.
Ata drown. Anasikiza ground. Meanwhile, kuna hata president pia ako taabani. Is also being affected by the storm.
Yanaangalia parliament.
But his head is above water.
Yes.
That's the Daily Nation still talking about the deputy president's woes. And the People Daily, same thing.
Stano's take, he has this gentleman who's climbing the Mount Kenya and he's trying to see where he's the only one who should be touching it, probably. And he's saying, I won't go down without a fight and the crown. And they have the parliament, which is just about, it's some few inches to put a stamp on his head. I'm curious your stamp imeandikwa nini hapo? Impeached.
I won't go down without a fight.
Yes.
And the crown. Haezi acha crown.
He's going for it.
Hata mkimimpeach, msiguze mlima.
Do you have the star there ama niangalie hapa?
Star ndio hiyo. Angalia as I try and go back to photos there.
So on the star, which is on page 3, they have okay. Also for the start, they don't go with the whole conversation about the deputy president. They go with the conversation about the Social Health Authority, and they have a weighing scale. On one hand is benefits, which is about some shillings there. On the other is the cost. So on the cost ni mamilioni ya mashilingi, and okona watu wa Kenya pale wanashangaa tufanye aje kweli. There you have it. The whole conversation about benefits versus cost. And take a look at what you're going to be benefiting in different sectors, in different ailments versus the whole cost of this Social Health Authority. Does it match really? That is the whole conversation there. There you have it.
Right.
The stars, or rather the stars take. Yes.
All right. So on State of the Nation this morning, James Gachagua, MP Embakasi North, Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba, David Ole Sankok, MP East Africa Legislative Assembly, and Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, will be in studio for this discussion. Of course, the biggest discussion is a looming impeachment of the deputy president. We may touch a bit here and there on matters health as well, so do stand by for that conversation.
Oh yes, number 2047 is our SMS number, 0793 267 279 is our WhatsApp number. Usiende mbali, weka remote hapo chini.
Tuangalie traffic. Tuna time.
Tulikuwa tumesahau.
Tuangalie masuala ya barabara, tuone mnafanya nini kule barabarani. Even as you wait for the impeachment of the deputy president today, pale traffic is building up very fast hapo Pangani. Na mjua kunaweza kuwa na Occupy.
Occupy.
So yes, if you're using Thika Road and you're using Kiambu Road, yes, the traffic is backing up as far as Mathare Mental Hospital there. So heavy traffic around Pangani area. Jogoo Road too is looking busy towards town, even at Manyanja area, Mbotela, Makadara, and as you head towards City Stadium roundabout. So it's building slowly. On the southern parts, the expressway is looking good. Nothing much to report from that direction. Langata Road past Uhuru Gardens, Wilson Airport, all the way to the Nyayo Stadium roundabout is looking good. But ukiangalia ukichungulia hapa chini ya expressway, you can see bits of red. So Uhuru Highway ile ya chini could be having a lot of traffic. Expressway ukipanda uko sawa. Ngong Road, yes, bits of slow traffic around Adams Arcade and Prestige Plaza as well. And finally, the other major tributary into town is Wayaki Way, and it's looking new all the way into town, and nothing much to report from that direction. So that's the traffic situation.
Yes.
As at, what time is it? 1:30 the hour.
Oh yes. Again, on behalf of all the Gen Zs and millennials, if you're above that, happy International Day of Older Persons to you. Usienda mbali, weka remote chini, tunarudi.
June 2024, nationwide protests broke out in Kenya, opposing the 2024 Finance Bill. As the situation threatened to get out of hand, police officers were deployed to quell the unrest. Among them, Chief Inspector David Maina. Then hell broke loose. An explosive device went off, ripping off his forearms. He survives to tell the story.
I removed the pin, but there was, I don't know, there was some resistance. That pin, there was some problem with removing the pin. When it finally got off, and then I was just about to throw my stun grenade, I just saw darkness.
Join TV47's Lennox Sengre as he brings you an exclusive interview with Chief Inspector David Maina.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
June 2024, nationwide protests broke out in Kenya, opposing the 2024 finance bill. As the situation threatened to get out of hand, police officers were deployed to quell the unrest. Among them, Chief Inspector David Maina. Then hell broke loose. An explosive device went off, ripping off his forearms. He survives to tell the story.
I removed the pin, but there was, I don't know, there was some resistance. That pin, there was some problem with removing the pin. When it finally got off, and then I was just about to throw my stun grenade, I just saw darkness.
Join TV47's Lennox Sengre as he brings you an exclusive interview with Chief Inspector David Maina.
All right, you're right on time for State of the Nation right here, TV47. This is a Morning Cafe. My name is Fred Indemuli. A quick look at the dailies this morning, and they're split between two major headlines. Of course, the biggest discussion being the looming impeachment of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, which is expected to be tabled before the House later this afternoon. The other big story is about health matters. Today being 1st of October, the rollout of the Social Health Authority and the Social Health Insurance Fund kicks in officially today. So the star goes with all you need to know about SHA. Target is to register 12 million Kenyans, eventually to cover 50 million. So far, they've only registered about 1 million, and that's the situation as it is. The Business Daily also goes with that same thing. How workers' take-home pay will shrink on NHIF deductions. But all the other papers, the biggest headline is what's happening to the Deputy President. People Daily, Ruto's hand in DP ouster. Case against Gachagua on the Standard. Gachagua on trial on the Daily Nation, and kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo wanasema ainua mkono akiangalia mlima. This morning we're privileged to have four gentlemen in studio for this discussion. Let me start with my immediate right. Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba. It's good to have you in studio, sir. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Next to Bwana Manduku, we have David Ole Sankok, member of the East Africa Legislative Assembly. It's good to have you in studio.
Thank you.
Bwana James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, the key ally of the Deputy President, is also in studio. Karibu sana Bwana Gakuya. And Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, also joins us for this conversation. Good morning, karibu sana.
Good morning.
Before, of course, we get to the big discussion, which is about the looming impeachment, and I know that is what everyone wants to talk about, I feel we should just spend some time and talk about this shift from NHIF to SHIF. And talk about it briefly and generally, because it is a major shift from what we've known for many years, from NHIF to SHIF, and there are so many questions. Till now, people still do not know. In fact, one of the dailies, I think it's a Daily Nation in the inside pages, it talks about now the government resorting to forcing people to register as they turn up in hospital because the registration is not as fast as they had anticipated. Now, this is a major shift, and the government has embarked on other radical reforms, some in education, and as far as the university funding model is concerned. Now we're seeing this health, so many other things. And many people are wondering, Bwana Manduku, don't you think that this government is biting a bit too much, more than it probably can chew? Because this, you can actually see the reaction from Kenyans is very slow, yet the government is insistent that this has to go on.
Thank you very much. As is always, the people in Kenya are always suspect or suspicious of anything that the government tries to roll out. But granted, now we're in this situation, and the promise that the government has made is that going forward, all matters health will be sorted because of the increased deductions from employees. But further to that, I think we have concentrated more on the methodology or on the firms that are going to be involved in the rollout, rather than getting the actual facts on levels of commitment in terms of healthcare. With all this money or these deductions going to happen to our employees, what guarantees do we have that going forward, our health sector is now sorted? Does it mean that as members of parliament here, we are not going to have any more harambes? Mm-hmm. This is a promise that the government made to us. And so we hope that with the introduction or with the shift to the new scheme, we shall have adequate, reliable, and inclusive healthcare of all people. I want my people from my constituency, Nyariba and Masaba, to have the same standard of healthcare that I enjoy as a member of parliament. If that is guaranteed by this government, then we have no problem. But then if it's just a scam or a scheme to enrich a few people, then again, we go back to where we are from. Mm-hmm. And as usual, people are suspicious because of lack of information. I've seen the dailies have really tried to elaborate on this scheme, but the bottom line is that our people are still having many questions. Okay. And they're doubtful. And that skepticism, of course, is informed by the same promises that have not been delivered so far. Talking about promises, it is the ideal way or the ideal about this SHIF. And if you look at the front page of the Star, if all these benefits could get to the patients, then definitely many people would be more welcoming to it. But the problem is this administration has been big on promises and very small on delivery. And many questions are being asked, and that is where the skepticism comes from. Don't you agree, Bwana Sankok, that yes, Kenyans are correct in being a bit skeptical with this major shift?
Fred Ndimuli, promises that was not delivered is your own opinion. This government promised Hustler Fund. The Hustler Fund was delivered. But then some thieves within the system or even Kenyans themselves refused to repay the Hustler Fund. So now, do we blame the president who promised and delivered, or do we blame the thieves? Being skeptical about things is a Kenyan way, because change is always a bit uncomfortable. But eventually, we will reap the benefit of change. When Thika Road was being changed into Thika Superhighway, you remember some people even coiled a statement that it is leading to Mount Kenya, so it was a tribal road. But eventually, all Kenyans know that that is a legacy of the late President Mwai Kibaki that we all enjoy. When we had the rail, you people of the media had a screaming headline that SGR is a rail leading to nowhere. But now Kenyans are saying Uhuru had a legacy of that particular SGR because we are reaping the benefit. I'm 100% sure we'll reap the benefit of this particular health cover, because for a long time we have been trying and we have been having the big four agenda. One of them is the universal health care. Mm-hmm. This is just one of the big four agenda that we failed to implement in the Uhuru regime. We are now implementing, where everybody will enjoy health, irrespective of where he or she come from. Because NHIF used to charge almost 500 shillings across the board. You can imagine 500 shillings as a percentage of somebody who earns a salary of 1 million. Mm-hmm. You can imagine 500 shillings as a percentage of somebody who earns 5,000. That is 10%. It is 0.00001% of somebody who is earning 1 million. So we are saying, let us have a percentage be deducted so that we can all have and enjoy universal health.
Bwana Gachagua, on the front page of the Standard, the angle they go with is Parliament's approval of the new system. Questions have been asked about a new IT system. Yesterday, finally, MPs approved, and they go with the headline, "White as Snow." MPs say of Ndii Farm, in SHIF saga. And yes, many questions had been asked about the process leading towards the rollout. And these questions were asked even by members of parliament. Do you feel that the National Assembly did justice in as far as seeking answers to those questions?
Thank you, Debore. Allow me to salute viewers wherever they're watching us from. And coming to the concern, let me say the questions that may arise here is the manner in which the two service providers were being arrived to, taking to concern that having given this particular job of this service, was it competitive? Was it open to everybody so that in fact they can be zeroed in from a particular process? Those are the major questions, and how or were they single-sourced? And to me, they were single-sourced, because there is no evidence of any process that provided competition to arrive to that. And if they will be able to serve what is required, that's fine. But I don't think that, in fact, at where we are, a project of billions of money like this should be left to be processed under that process of single sourcing. I think it was supposed to be more broader, where other players were to be given an opportunity also to also to participate in the process. But when the matter was arrived, that's when we are given that particular job to do that particular assignment. To me, I would say it's not fair, because what we are doing is that, in fact, we are crossing the doors for competitive processes.
Okay. And that can be said about a lot of the dealings that this administration has engaged in. Case in point, even the Adani airport concession. Many questions around how the process towards the deal has been arrived at. And I'm saying this because even the Deputy President came out and said he himself cannot defend the Adani deal because he is not aware of what is happening. If we may draw a comparison with what's happening with this SHIF, many questions are being asked, and there's a lot of misinformation, lack of understanding. Do you still feel that this administration is still lacking in as far as communicating its dealings is concerned? Bwana Mutambo.
I don't think the issue is communication. The problem here is abiding to the law. We have PMF Act, which gives guidelines on how procurement should be done in our country, in any institution. We have it, right? If none of those processes are not followed, then there will be a problem. And we will always arrive to this point, whereby there will be questions. Mheshimiwa Madugu was a CEO of a government institution. And he knows he could not buy a pen without following the laid down procedure of procurement. Anything which is public, and you either want to partner with private investors, or you want either to sell, or you want to buy for public, you have to follow that law, that rule. If you don't do that, then questions will be there, right? And then the government will be perceived as if it is not following the law or the rule of law. And that's why you see there's a lot of issues in all these things which government is doing. You may be having a very noble idea, but for you to implement it, you have to go back to the book and ask yourself, how do I do this? Even God, when he created people, he never left them free. He told them, don't hit this, don't do that, don't do this. And he even gave a constitution to Moses of 10 laws for people to follow. And if you don't do that, or if you don't follow it, then you are in trouble. So the problem this government or this administration is facing is that issue of following what the law says. And you can as well do it. Or you follow the law, you advertise, you do whatever. But there is another thing which is in the Constitution. There are things which you don't do without evoking public participation. The moment you skip that part, because the public don't know, maybe you did whatever the procurement law says, but there's an aspect of public participation when it comes to matters public.
Okay.
So if you also skip that, then there will be a problem. The done deal, I don't know whether there has been any public participation on this issue. We know what is required to go through a process of PPPP. We know what is required. What happened? I have here with me ranking members of public. Forget about being members of National Assembly. They are ranking members of public. I don't know whether there is any who was invited to any public participation. I am also. I never had it. This share thing, I don't know, share, shift, shaf, I don't know. It's also another monster which we are dealing with, because things have already been done and they are now on the implementation stage. So when you start implementing such a mogas or big project like this, and members of public, Kenyans, who you are implementing this project for, it could be a good thing, and I'm not against it. It is, when you go through it, whatever is there, it sounds good. But how it is done leaves a bad taste on people's mouth, and that's why you see this quagmire.
And it would appear that many Kenyans have been left behind by this train, either through their own skepticism or through a lack of communication or understanding. Some of the papers have tried to explain. And yes, you all agree that it is a good promise, it is a good deal, if at all it's implemented. Now, with the kind of quality we are getting from the National Assembly in as far as holding the government accountable, if they fail to do that, do you believe that Kenyans have gotten to a point where they can actually seek accountability in as far as these promises that have been made by the government?
I think, Ndimuli, there is something that we have to understand. Kenyans have become very inquisitive. And the inquisitive nature of Kenyans have led to opening of so many avenues of information, because the information about SHIF have always been on our daily medias, and they have been on our TV stations. People have tried to explain, the government have tried to explain, but there is a lot of misinformation trending in most of the social medias. Because if I may ask, we are now inquiring about who is the winner of the contract of the SHIF. Do we know who built Thika Superhighway? Do you know who built the expressway? Do you know the contractor who built the standard gauge railway? We are enjoying the fruits of those infrastructure. What we want is the value for Kenyan taxes and the benefit that come with investing in such. I think Kenyans should wait and read the correct media and read the correct information, because information now is everywhere, and 90% of it is wrong information. So if we get to the right information, there was a lot of public.
Say the same. The CS for Health was before a parliamentary committee yesterday and tried to compare the SHA to the Hustler Fund. Isn't that now complicating the matter even more for the Kenyans who already do not understand?
In the morning, to my view, in fact, if we are, as a nation, we are not worried to award such a magnitude amount of projects amounting to like 104 billion, like the one for Adani of billions of Kenya shillings, then why do we care to follow procedures of procurement to those petty things that tells that the country is open back to its to the dark days? And then therefore there's no need of that particular law, which illustrates about procurement procedure. It's important to go back there and say then we forget about it. If there is such project that does not require to follow the law, then which are the ones supposed to follow the law? The law should not be seen applying double standard. The law should be seen working in what we call an equalized way. Otherwise, when we move to this election, it tells us that in fact the law is purely applying double standard.
Okay. Bwana Manduku, do you feel we are asking too many questions about this?
I think asking too many questions is right. But I'm very surprised that Mheshimiwa Gakuya and Mheshimiwa Sangok are forgetting that this is their government. You are criticizing your own government because we in the opposition have always said that
we have not criticized the government.
The many promises that you have told us. Now, you've given us a promise on health. We're giving you time, 6 months. Let us
we will deliver
6 months and see.
And it's a big promise.
Whether we'll have streamlined our health sector, whether the benefits will trickle down to the patients, and whether we are going to stop having more Harambes
Kabisa
to treat our patients back in the villages.
Okay. Bwana Mutambo, anything to add on this before we take a break?
I just want to pick a bit of Mheshimiwa's comments. When he says openly that do we know who built Thika Road? Do we know who built Standard Railway Gauge?
Railway, but we are enjoying.
We know who built Express Highway. Does that mean if a wrong is done somewhere, I should also do wrong in whatever thing I want to do?
Was it wrong?
What do I stand? Because what we are saying, it is completely wrong for government to start any process of anything procurement without following the procedure. That's what we are saying. We are not saying whatever you are doing is wrong. And here we are not talking about the information out there. We are not talking about giving people information. We are talking about, even though giving information is also part of the process, because Kenyans are entitled to information as per our constitution, right? So what we are saying is that that process you are undertaking, that process, you are going out of what is the law, what the law says. And when you go out of what the law says, then that thing becomes illegal. And that's why it is the prerogative of members of parliament to make laws. But once you make bad laws, or when you make laws without following the procedure, and that matter enters to court, it is pronounced unconstitutional.
All right.
So whatever the government is doing without following the procedure, that is what we are questioning. And it's not about the president. It's about the people who are working for president. Okay. It is not him who is doing all those. There are those who are taxed to certain roles in the government. And if they circumvent the law, then we must hold them accountable. And nobody should feel bad when Kenyans question for their right, because it is their money.
All right.
You would want to ask yourself one question. What is the difference between this share thing or she thing and NHIF?
The contribution percentage.
What is the difference? What was so difficult to amend the law to increase or to change the percentage of contribution to, and have we audited what NHIF has been doing and what this will do?
No, it is gone. It's gone.
We're already in shift now.
And he's very good in quoting the Bible. He's very good in quoting the Bible. Remember also God promised Moses that he will lead the Israelites to the promised land. Did Moses ever step in his foot in the promised land?
Okay.
So are we saying this?
No, we are not saying.
Are we saying this government?
So it is matters health.
No. But Israelites found themselves in.
Time for us to take a break. Gentlemen, it's about the shift. Today being 1st of October, we've already officially moved from the NHIF. Now, a shift takes over. The Business Daily talks about how workers' take-home pay will shrink. Because now the 2.75% deduction kicks in from today. So your pay slip at the end of October will read 2.75% of your gross pay deducted. And that, I think, will be the next biggest deduction after the payee. That's the Business Daily. If at all you have any questions about SHA and SHIF, the Star's done you justice. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 pages of coverage. All you need to know about SHA, that's the front page of the Star today. Get yourself a copy of this paper. It also comes with a MyGov pullout inside there, and today's Star is a free copy. Smart people read the Star. It is time for us to take a break. When we come back, we delve into the looming impeachment of the Deputy President.
June 2024, nationwide protests broke out in Kenya, opposing the 2024 Finance Bill. As the situation threatened to get out of hand, police officers were deployed to quell the unrest. Among them, Chief Inspector David Maina. Then hell broke loose. An explosive device went off, ripping off his forearms. He survives to tell the story.
I removed the pin, but there was, I don't know, there was some resistance. That pin, there was some problem with removing the pin. When it finally got off, and then I was just about to throw my stun grenade, I just saw darkness.
Join TV47's Lennox Sengre as he brings you an exclusive interview with Chief Inspector David Maina.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire,
kazi fulani ama contract fulani ambayo wewe kama naibu wa rais ulikuwa na interest nayo, na wakati president alikataa kukubalia hilo, kukaanzisha shida kati yako na yeye.
Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Mimi sina haja.
Ukijibu ya Edwin kwa sababu inashikana, ule siku moja gongea rais meza ukihitaji 8 billion uresign.
Wacha nikwambie kitu ya kwanza. Mimi na rais hatuwezi kosana mambo ya kandarasi yote, kwa sababu mimi sina haja na kandarasi yote katika serikali. Na nimekueleza vizuri sana. Mimi nilikuja kwa hii kazi nikiwa na mali yangu kidogo na inanitosha. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni madai ambayo haina msingi yoyote. Na mapili kusema mimi nimegongea rais mesa, hiyo pia ni upuzi mtupu. Mimi sina haja ya kugonga mesa ya rais. Nigonge kwa sababu gani? Mimi mambo ya kusema ati nijuzuru nipewe pesa, kama ningetaka pesa, siku William Ruto alikuwa deputy president, nilikuwa natafutwa usiku na mchana nipewe pesa. Mimi kama ningekuwa malaya pesa, singekuwa na president William Ruto, ningekuwa pande ile nyingine. Mimi hapana malaya pesa, mimi sina haja na pesa. Na mtu yote kusema mimi naweza pewa pesa ati nijiuzuru ni kunikosea heshima. You know, mimi ni mtu ambaye ninajiheshimu sana, na nimekuambia pesa silikuweko wakati ule. Kulingana na ushawishi nilikuwa nayo Mlima Kenya, na ile kazi nilikuwa nafanya ya kumsaidia President William Ruto, nilitafutwa mara mingi sana na nikakuwa offered pesa mingi sana, na hata rais anajua. Na mimi nikakataa kwa sababu mimi tabia yangu si aina hiyo. Mimi ni mtu ambaye nimejifanyia kazi yangu, nimejitafutia ile kidogo niko nayo na ninanitosha. Ndio tulikuchagua na sisi hatujaona makosa yako. Sasa mimi tu kwa kuona kwangu, mimi ni mnyonge na mimi sina ushawishi mkubwa. Na mimi niko mkononi mwa bunge na maseneta, vile wataamua mimi nitakubali tukiwa na watu wangu. Swali yangu ni hili. Sisi siku Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alitaka kumhujumu Rais William Ruto. Tuliangalia mambo ya jamii mbele, mimi nikiongoza, na nikaambia watu ya Mount Kenya, tukimsaliti huyu Rais William Ruto, tutaingia kwa historia kama watu ambaye hawana shukrani. Na hapo mbele kama Uhuru amestaafu, miaka ijao, hii jamii yetu itaonekana kuwa si jamii ya ukweli, na ni jamii ya kutumia watu vibaya. Na kwa hivyo mimi nikauliza watu ya Mount Kenya, tafadhalini, ile ahadi tuliweka na Rais William Ruto, wacha tutimize. Na ndio tulifanya, tukaamuka, tukampigia kura, akakuwa rais. Swali watu wetu wanauliza, jamii ya Wakalenjin, mkimsaliti Rigathi Gachagua, mkuje pale bunge, ile deputy speaker amesema, musache masignature mfukuse yeye. Siku ingine kama jamii, nani ataamini nyinyi? Kama mumesaliti ile jamii ambaye imeshika nyinyi mkono, imeshikilia nyinyi. Mumesaliti ile deputy president, alizunguka Kenya, akafungwa, akanyang'anywa mali yake, akaumizwa, akatendewa madhambi mbele ya bibi yake na watoto wake. Kama jamii, wabunge wenu ndio wataongoza kupeleka yeye nyumbani, kumweka kwa msalaba kama Yesu na kumfukuza. Hapo mbeleni, William Ruto akimaliza miaka yake 10, siku ingine mkitaka mpangilio na watu wengine, kuna watu wataketi chini kuamini nyinyi? Hilo ni swali mimi nataka niulize wananchi. Mimi ningetaka tu kuomba kama itawezekana, kama imeonekana na wabunge lazima Rigathi Gachagua afukuzwe. Wabunge ya Wakalenjin wakikaa kando, kwa sababu tulishika mtoto wao, tulimsaidia. Alikuwa na shida, alikuwa na matatizo. Mimi nilizunguka mikutano 395. Nilikuja pale Mosop, walikuwa
unafanya nini Mombasa?
Mimi nilikuwa nimealikwa kikao cha walimu wote wa Kenya katika Mombasa. Na mimi nilitoka hapa asubuhi mapema sana, nikaenda Mombasa, nikafungua kongamano la walimu katika Kenya. Na baadaye vile mambo ilikuwa naendelea, nikakuwa na pressure kubwa sana kutoka wa Kenya ya kwamba wangetaka kusikia maoni yangu na yale maneno ambayo yameendelea. Na ndio mimi nikaalika vyombo vya habari, naye rais akaalika. Na nikangoja rais amalize nisikie yale atasema.
Ulikusha alika mapema?
Mimi nilikuwa nimealika mapema
kabla
rais kualika. Rais alipoalika na nikaambiwa, nikasema ni sawa, kama rais atazungumzia yale ambayo iko kwa moyoni yangu. Mimi ni kiongozi pia, na pia mimi nilichaguliwa na Wakenya. Akiwazungumzia nitakanzo hiyo press conference. Asipoyazungumzia nitaendelea. Na nilitoa maoni yangu. Na maoni yangu ilikuwa ya kwamba hao watoto si wakora, ni watoto wa Kenya. Wasikizwe na wapewe nafasi, wasikizwe. Nikatoa maoni yangu ya kwamba tumefika hapo kwa sababu hatusikizi wa Kenya, na wa Kenya ni mzuri, tuwasikize. Kwa sababu unajua, ukiwa kiongozi kunafika wakati wale watu ambao wamekuchagua na wako na kutegemea wanataka kusikia sauti yako. Na ndio nitoa sauti yangu siku hiyo. Na nikapendekeza ile mimi naona inafaa. Ndio Kenya ikae na.
Yes, it is a big day today. The looming impeachment of the Deputy President set to happen in Parliament in the National Assembly this afternoon. Initial suggestions that there would be a parliamentary group meeting to be chaired by the President this morning appear to have been rumors. There's no such meeting we have since established. So definitely it is a go. This is historic. It is the very first time we're having the impeachment of a Deputy President whose process is similar to that of the impeachment of the President. Whether or not the National Assembly will be successful, we wait and see. Definitely the numbers are there. The excitement among members of the National Assembly is there. More than 300 members signed the impeachment motion. To support it, where only about 117 signatures were required. But is that enough, Bwana Mwanduku? You are a member of the National Assembly. If I may quote the former majority leader, Aiden Duale, said, the impeachment of a deputy president is not a walk in the park. Are you convinced that this is the right thing that the National Assembly is set to do?
Thank you for the question. The impeachment of the Deputy President is covered and very well elaborated in the Constitution of Kenya. Article 150, read together with Article, I think 144 and 145, gives the steps which are supposed to be followed. But let me tell you, Fred, that whereas the law is very clear on the impeachment process, this particular impeachment is purely a political process. And one member of parliament, I think, in a studio said that we have the numbers, but we have no reason. What am I saying? I come from the Orange Democratic Party, and there's a party position already that the Deputy President should be impeached. And as members of the party, we have put our signatures, appended our signatures. In fact, my signature was number 117. But having said that, I think it is time that we relook at the constitutional provisions which bring into focus or which created the position of Deputy President. The Americans talk of the curse of the Vice President, and I think this curse is also eminent or present in our country today. The position of Deputy President was created so as to give numbers during the election. And truth be said, once the elections are over, Deputy Presidents typically find themselves, for lack of a better word, not busy or irrelevant to the presidency. And so I think the mistakes that our Deputy President has made is that he probably thought that being a Deputy President is equal to be a co-president. And in my opinion, the position of Deputy President should be scrapped. And we just deal with a presidential election.
Okay.
And if it is vacant for any reason, we go to another election. Because only one vice president in this country has that peace, and that is Mudi Awori. History tells us, right from Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Murumbi, Saitoti, and all others, no one has sat pretty as a vice president. You remember, in 1998, we had 1 year without a vice president. And one day, the late President Moi just reappointed Saitoti on the roadside. Do we need this position? I think it creates more turbulence within government, and I wish it was not even there.
Okay.
Same with deputy governors. Do we need them? I don't think so.
Okay.
So that we only have one center of power, which, if for any other reason is vacant, we can go for another election.
But I have a question for you, because you said, and you quoted another member saying, we have the numbers, yes, but do we have a reason? And that's a question. Because for you to sign in support of that motion, you may have gone through the motion itself.
If truth be said, Mr. Gachagua has worked very hard. If you look at what he has done in the last 2 years, truth be said, he can account for his time in his office. The coffee reforms, the tea reforms, the milk sector reforms, the alcohol and substance abuse, chairing of intergovernmental relations. He has had 330, he has had 35 cabinet subcommittee meetings, he has had 330 resolutions. That is work. So if you're going to send someone home on virtue of incompetence, then it's not the deputy president. And that's why I say this is a political process. People just want to spill blood.
No, the question is, you must have seen the motion. Do you agree that there is reason enough to impeach the deputy president apart from the numbers?
I don't agree. Okay. I signed because it was a party position.
Okay. Bwana Sankoka, you are not in the National Assembly, but you are allied to the party that is pushing this, that even the deputy president is a deputy party leader of the same party. Do you agree with what the National Assembly is doing? It is a political process. A member of the National Assembly agrees that the reasons may not be enough. The accusations made may not necessarily be impeachable at this point. Do you agree with this move?
Ndimuli, Fred, you know, some of the reasons why Gachagua is being impeached is because he became too local. He concentrated on Mount Kenya. Those are accusations that were there. and you are now dragging me to the same mud that you people are accusing Gachagua of. I'm a member of parliament of the East African community, in charge of 8 countries. I don't sit in the National Assembly or the Senate. I don't vote there. I don't have a say. But the Constitution have given Parliament that mandate of impeaching the President and the Deputy President. For me, you know, I'm fixated because I love Uhuru Kenyatta on what we said, kumi ya Ruto, kumi ya Uhuru na kumi ya Ruto. I'm still there, that there will be 10 years of William Ruto. But along the way, soldiers normally fall. You remember what happened to our soldiers in Waititu? They were also impeached in the same process. And it was the first time for maybe a governor to be impeached. There was Sonko who was already impeached. There was the first time a deputy governor from his region that was impeached. So there will always be a first time. There was a first time when a deputy vice president resigned during the time of, I think, Morombi or Jaramogi Odinga. There will always be the first time. If this one is another first time, then I think the Constitution have allowed.
Are you comfortable with this process being more political or quasi-judicial? Because I wish it is a legal issue.
I wish it was actually more of reasons of not working as per what is per the job description of the deputy president. I wish it was something like insubordination, because also insubordination is a breach of the law. But when it becomes more political, I really find it, even if I'm a member of the UDA party and the Kenya Kwanza, when the speaker speak and pronounce himself on a position, and he's supposed to be a referee. You know, if today I work as a referee against Gor Mahia and FC, and then I say I support Gor Mahia, and I'm the referee, how do you now trust that process? And in fact, the deputy speaker again, I don't know what is happening with our Kenya Kwanza brigades. I don't know if it have, you know, sometimes you are good when you shut up, you know, even if you have a position, because we know Kenyans eventually, even judges themselves, they do vote. Even the army, they have positions, but they cannot pronounce in a political process. You are in a position of being a speaker and a deputy speaker. This is a process where who will be debating is the members of parliament, your subjects, those who are below you. And now you yourself, you are pronouncing yourself, and you are the referee. I find it as a gross misconduct and something that is against the law.
Yes.
And in fact, they are not supporting the president. They are not supporting Kenya Kwanza. They are not supporting the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. They are in fact sabotaging that impeachment process.
Because for the National Assembly, Gachagua, to sit and consider this impeachment motion, they will have quasi-judicial status. The fact that the Speaker and his deputy have already made pronouncements with regard to how their decision-making may lean, do you feel that this should be considered a mistrial in favor of the Deputy President, that he will be subjected to almost like a trial? He has to come and defend himself, and the Speaker and his deputy have already made declarations about the same.
In the morning, what I would say is that once one is a referee, he must to remain neutral to the rest of the 90 minutes in that particular battlefield. But once you pronounce yourself to be in favor of a certain team, then automatically you have brought what we call impartial kind of representation. And in this particular case, I would say it first emanated from the one of the panelists, who is the deputy speaker, in a public rally in Washington. And she was very clear that the die is cast, and within 14 days, the DP has to go. Unfortunately, the Speaker of the National Assembly has still entered the same trail and pronounced himself in the same script. And in this particular case, I would say, then it tells you, then the time has come that it's very clear that the whole stretch is clear, that all knives are sharpened, and there is no option. The die is cast and then you have to be sacrificed. And that's the way it is. It tells you you are not lucky. From the referee who will leverage the whole discussion process is already a compromised person because he has pronounced himself. So there's nothing that you can expect to come out in your favor in that process. Okay. And in this case, I would say that's why our judicial process actually lives in this particular earth, and they are also viewing what is happening. Okay. And more probably their pronunciation may be able to support the grounds of Gachagua in case he redresses his matter in a judicial process.
But if we are going to approach this impeachment, which was the very first time that we are seeing such a process, the removal of a deputy president through the National Assembly, which is almost, is actually the same as the removal of the president. And we are already seeing loopholes and what is wrong with the process before we even start. Don't you think that that calls for a relook at what we are doing, especially before the National Assembly?
Talking of National Assembly, Idi, I've been to this forum many times. We have discussed National Assembly and the conduct of the members of Assembly. And I am on the record, your records, if you play back our shows. And what I've been telling you has been confirmed by Mheshimiwa Maduku. I told you, and I'm going to say it again, that that parliament you see there, those members of parliament, I have Mr. Mheshimiwa Gachagua, who is my good friend, a colleague I've worked with. I have my good friend Maduku, whom I knew when he was a civil servant. All right? I will tell you, none of members of parliament performs their duties as per their conscience. What they do is what either the party position or their party leaders want. And Mheshimiwa Maduku has told us, for himself, he don't think it's right. But because it's a party position, he has to go with it. That confirms what I've been telling you here. I've said it many times. What we need to ask ourselves is, who want Gachagua out? Is it Parliament? Is it Kenyans? Who? There's somebody who wants Gachagua out of the way. Right? Who is that person? And the answer is very clear. The President of the Republic of Kenya does not want his deputy. Whether he's good, is a Christian, is married, is what, is a Kikuyu, is a Mukamba, he does not want one man called Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua. And for him and Gachagua, I told you last show when I was here, the Gachagua's goose is cooked. Those are my words. He don't want him because he has some reasons to believe that, and it's good we say as it is. He has some reasons, and if they want to arrest me, they can arrest me. But I will stand with that view of mine, that President of the Republic of Kenya has some reason to believe Gachagua was involved in this maandamano thing, which was about to remove him from power. And that is the parting shot. There's nothing else. There's nothing else Gachagua has done. Go and audit the dealings of Gachagua. He is being accused. The main problem here is Gachagua is being accused of being part and parcel of that. There's nothing else. Not him going to Mombasa to officiate, I don't know what. That is where the problem is. And the president, I don't know where he's getting his information from. He is persuaded beyond any reasonable doubt that Gachagua was the man who was behind this quagmire. And let Kenyans know what is happening. It is not that Gachagua has done anything. And I've told Gachagua, here, my hand device. I can hear Mheshimiwa Gachagua is proposing, if we are impeached in Parliament, we will go to court. But the other side time I said, this is Kenya. We are not in America. We are not in Uganda. We are in Kenya, where everything is possible. In Kenya, everything is possible. And anything can happen in Kenya. Anything.
Loading.
So, It could be, he may be having grounds. And I have no problem with our judiciary. Actually, I respect them so much because for the first time in our history, we have credible judiciary in Kenya. But there's that but somewhere. For the future of Gachagua and for him to remain relevant in either politics or any other place, it is very important for him to understand if I take a pen and paper and just write one sentence, I, Gachagua, have resigned, send it to the speaker, Gachagua will remain a very powerful man in this country. But the moment he waits to be impeached, because his impeachment has got nothing to do with the law. It is political. And he is in the political field. My friend, if Gachagua is not careful, if he takes that route, if I fail here, he is not a governor.
Bonagakuya, do you agree with that? That probably the deputy president should just throw in the towel and resign before this impeachment is successful?
One thing, let me say that, in fact, I will not decide for him. Because if I am the one, I could decide otherwise. But in that particular position, it's a position that an individual should take.
You are one of his key advisors and allies. Do you think he should just sit back and watch?
I overheard him yesterday, during that interview. And he alluded that actually he's not ready to resign. So let him fight the battle.
Okay.
If it was me that I was Gachagua, because we should not accuse members of parliament for taking party position, because party position is in the Political Party Act, that if you don't also obey the party position, you can be de-whipped as a member of a particular party. So it is also our constitution which have double speech, because the constitution say that arm of government called legislative should be independent. But at the same time, the party leader can be a president. And the party leader who will not then issue party position should be followed. So it is a double speech. So if I was Gachagua, I will consider resigning. Because if you are impeached, then there will be grounds for you not to contest or for you to not to be employed in any other position, which is grievous. Because even if you are so powerful, like we know Sonko is very popular, but because of that impeachment process to the end, he cannot now contest. He cannot be appointed. Whenever he's appointed, then people go to court. Sonko will have made a very good CS for sports, but then you know what will that end to is court. Although again, some people resign and go to the political dustbin. Murumbi resigned. He went to the political dustbin. Jaramogi Odinga resigned as a vice president, but remained very relevant. So I don't know which one. So I advise him probably just take a pen, walk away from this one and look for it in 2027.
But Manduku, the other concern is now ODM's approach to some of these issues, because there were serious concerns about the workings of the National Assembly. Even before the new alliance between ODM and Kenya Kwanza, there were serious concerns about what kind of influence the executive has on the National Assembly. It would appear now ODM's position would be bolstering that same control from the executive, that whatever the president wants, ODM is ready to support that as well. Don't you see a risk in that?
I am on record as having said, and I can repeat it again, that the current National Assembly, as constituted, falls short on many aspects, especially on the influence of the executive. In fact, I once said that it's time we went home, all of us, and went for re-election, and these people didn't like what I said. But anyway, never mind that. ODM came into government because our party leader must have had some agreements with the president. And so we are yet to be told as a party what benefits we shall, or if any, what benefits we shall reap from this marriage. But then it also puts us in a very awkward situation. Are we in government or are we in opposition? Because don't forget that we still hold the minority leader position in parliament. And yet some of our members, key members, are in the same government. It's a very difficult situation for many of us who have a conscience. And so we have opted to remain purely in the opposition and give an oversight role. And so it matters that we don't agree, we put our records very straight, that on this we don't agree. But again, as you said, the party position sometimes is pushed down our throats, and we have to abide by it. Otherwise, we don't own the party.
So we do expect the numbers, even once the impeachment motion is put to a vote, that the numbers, as we saw in support of the motion, of tabling the motion, will still be there.
Yes, now that
ODM will vote as a bloc.
This is our party position. I know we'll vote to the last man as the orange
to impeach the deputy president
movement. Maybe one or two members may not do it, but the party position is that yes, we shall go ahead and vote.
Eddie, I think that phrase of party position is being misused in our country. The party will not decide all the members to take poison, and they take because it is the party position. You know?
Do you feel they're using that as a defense?
They are just using it as a defense.
We have been promised.
You will not.
We have been promised that position.
You will not be. Let me say this.
We'll come to that.
Let me say.
Gladys Wanga has been promised to be deputy president.
So
they will benefit.
So the direct benefit is that ODM will now claim the position of deputy president once Rigathi Gachagua is out.
Yes, that is what we've been told.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm
for the sake of the party. Then you have to.
I'm telling you.
Yes, Madam.
We are getting everything wrong, and we are doing everything wrong. And you know, I think I remember I told you, nothing goes wrong. It starts wrong. Those words can only be understood by pilots, the profession I'm in. Because if you go 2 meters or 2 centimeters off your line, before you land, you will be in somewhere else, not where you're going. And this is exactly what is happening to Kenya, right? We have defined our political process in this country, and it is in the constitution. We have official opposition in constitution, which is funded by Kenyans, right? And there is a role of opposition in any nation, in any government, all right? And they have to perform their duty. But the moment you take opposition and you put them in your government, and these are the people who are fighting with Songkok. When he was saying Kenya Kwanza is the way to go, and they were called all the names. The moment the election is over, Kenya Kwanza should be let alone to administrate his policies and run the government because they won the election. And those who lost, you remain in your position, which is described by the Constitution. What you are telling me is this, and this is what you are doing. Let me give what people like, Gor Mahia and AFC. Gor Mahia wins the Premier League. Then AFC takes the cup to keep in their cupboard, in their wardrobe. What is that? Mm-hmm. This is exactly what is happening. Now we are being told the deputy president is promised to ODM. And that gives indication on our last discussion here. I told you, Kidiki and the rest who are singing out there to forget. Because they will not make a decision on who will be the deputy president once Gachagua goes. Mm-hmm. The decision will be made by 2 people. Mm-hmm. Maduku will only follow. Gachagua, whether you like it or not, you will only go to Embakasi and start saying, haiwezekani. But it is possible, and that's why I said in Kenya, everything is possible. So the problem we're having, we are doing and we are getting our priorities wrong all the time and doing the wrong things.
Listening to all of you, it appears it's a done deal, that the impeachment will happen and the process in the next 1 week or so or 2 weeks will be done. Rigathi Gachagua will not be the deputy president. Fine, let's now think about post-impeachment. We've seen a very subdued Rigathi Gachagua in that interview yesterday. What do you think his stand will be once the impeachment is successful? And as far as the mountain is concerned, you can hear ODM already claiming the position of deputy president. That headlines last week were already having their own lineups from the mountain about who will take over from Rigathi Gachagua.
In the morning, let me say that One, let me take the pick from where my good friend has stopped and indicate that, in fact, the reason why Kenyans fought to removal of Section 2 to create multipartyism was purely where one party did took the Kenyans to. And out of that experience, that's why those serious men and women thought that it is important to fight for it and create a wider scope where there will be a multipartyism and more democratic processes. The point where it's unfortunate that those fruits today seem to be dimming, because it is unfortunate that we can move to an election, and then after that particular election, then we spend taxpayers' money, but the result after appears different, where the whole opposition is compromised and beds with the ruling, and then compromise everything. Therefore, who loses most is the taxpayer. Because at the end of the day, the job for this opposition is watchdog, to always watch the government and keep the government in toast. At this particular time, then it tells you the government is free to do anything because it has compromised the numbers. And these numbers will do anything. That's why you see the clamor of we are 250 and above is at the peak. And I would say, yes, it's fine. But Kenyans will decide their destiny, whether to retain the same system or where they would like their state to be. In the likelihood goes at the point we are, it's like all daggers are on, and that this particular process is going to be real. Then what I would say is that the rest of the battle starts with the head of state, because he is the one to determine, because one, he has reasons. What is looking most is his balance after the exit of this particular term. And therefore, what is looking most is how his second term will be well taken care of. And therefore, the replacement of the Gachagua first has to work in what we call numbers. The numbers in scope now not in the elected members, but the scope of the popular votes of the Kenyan voters. That is where he must focus first. He must make arithmetic, political arithmetic, a massive in Mount Kenya without Gachagua. And by bringing Kidiki in, what have I solved? Had I win the Mount Kenya West, if I will win Mount Kenya East? And is Mount Kenya East alone is a safeguard to the top-up of my re-election? Mm-hmm. Those are the mathematics. Okay. And at the end of the day, he will decide, yes, should I move to Western, bring them in board, and then I count numbers, or should I move to Nyanza, and then bring the Nyanza in board, so that I seal my re-election? Because this point in time, and the battle between Gachagua and his head and his boss is nothing else, but it is battle to do with the close after the 2027 election.
And the president may be keen to retain the support he has had from Mount Kenya region as well. Do you think that if at all the promise is true, that the deputy president's position could be going to ODM and to someone in Nyanza, that is proper arithmetic by the president going forward?
It is not someone in Nyanza. It is actually to Gladys Wanga. Nyasukuta. Is it Nyasukuta or Nyasuna? Whichever name. And, you know, for me, I fought with Raila Odinga for a long time. There was a time I was calling him Tinga Bila Mafuta. And then Uhuru put Mafuta, and then I said I will drain the oil. Mm-hmm. But I have come to raise up my hands. Raila Odinga have become the engine behind Kenyan politics. And the longest serving president, whether you call him the people president or whichever name you'll baptize him, he have been leading half of Kenya for the last 40 years. He served with Moi as Secretary General of KANU, which is a very powerful position. They served together. Moi went, left him still standing, leading half of Kenya. He served with Mwai Kibaki. As a prime minister, he was a co-principal president in Kenya. And Mwai Kibaki went, left him still serving half of Kenyans and leading half of Kenya. Uhuru came through the handshake. They served together as co-principal. That is why they were dancing in Nyanza all over. And then Uhuru went, left him still standing. Eventually, Ruto came, said there is no Nusumkate. All of a sudden, I don't know, I'm an insider of William Ruto, but I never expected. Now Raila is actually serving as a co-president, because if you are controlling treasury through Mbadi and energy ministry, what else? You are a co-principal, and now you will get the vice president. So for me, I trust Raila. If he say that he was promised the deputy president position, he will eventually get what he is actually promised. And we have decided we will support Raila Odinga, but the arithmetics going forward. William Ruto, yes, will replace the Mount Kenya votes probably with the Nyanza and the Western votes. But remember also, Raila Odinga is a wounded lion, wounded by none other than William Ruto. When he supported Uhuru Kenyatta to be the project of Moi, Raila walked out. He was wounded that time. William Ruto also supported Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013. Second time, Raila was wounded. 2017, William Ruto supported Uhuru Kenyatta. He wounded Raila third time. In 2022, he supported himself and actually defeated Raila Odinga, who was the project of the system that time. So he wounded him the fourth time. A wounded lion is very dangerous. Raila Odinga may decide in 2027 to resign from a chairman of African Union Commission, of which I'm sure he will win, come and contest for the presidency and take Rigathi Gachagua as a running mate. If he resign, not to be impeached, because if he is impeached, then he will not get that position. So numbers in 2027, only God knows.
Okay, but sustaining the unity in, with the newfound alliance between ODM and Kenya Kwanza, because the replacement of Rigathi Gachagua will happen almost immediately once the impeachment is done. If at all it does not come the ODM way, and the president, because of his own arithmetic, decides to give someone else, does it mean that
it will be the fifth time he's handing? No, just a minute. It will be the fifth time you will be wounding or hurting Raila Odinga, and he will be a very dangerous wounded lion.
Okay.
I think my colleagues, Honorable Gakuya and Honorable Sankok, have put it very well. Remember, they are ranking members in Parliament, and I think what they have said is true. The only thing I want to say is that my experience in politics so far is that it's very dynamic. We can't even talk about 2027, because 3 years is a long time in politics. If ODM does not get the deputy president position, then the president will probably appease us with something else. But then we'll go back to the strategy board and start again strategizing, bearing in mind that anything is possible in politics. But I think what we need to agree here is that since the Orange Democratic Movement came into government, and Mheshimiwa Gakuya will agree with me, there seems to be some level of stability, political stability in the country.
Yes.
Now, with political stability, we are likely to have economic growth. And that is what matters for now. And probably in that atmosphere, the 422 promises that they made during the campaigns will start to materialize. I have done an audit of those promises, and I have a list. And we hope that even if 10% are actualized, then come 2027, we'll be having new issues to discuss. But also, a message to the deputy president. The impeachment is a tiresome exercise.
It's a terminal.
And as he says, it's terminal in nature. He probably wants to recalculate and re-strategize and probably see the best time to exit. I personally have experienced, I've been in a similar situation before, where I realized that keeping a state job with all these allegations was not worth it. And so I resigned. And because I resigned, I was able to have a new lease of life, and now I'm in Parliament.
Yes.
The deputy president, I want to tell him, he has done his work. Everyone can see. And he's a forthright man. he still has a lot of political life ahead of him. Rather than go through this muddy process and get impeached and mud all over his face, he probably wants to do the right thing and resign. And then thereafter, look for new allies in readiness for 2027. And I can assure you, as Mheshimiwa Gachagua said, he enjoys good support in the countryside. In fact, people from Kisii are finding out, oh, who is this man now that he's so popular? And so I would do that if I was him.
Resign. Bwana Mutambu, going forward, the President, William Ruto, will be keen to retain Mount Kenya support. He came into power based on the support he got mainly from the Mount Kenya region and the Rift Valley. Losing either of the two will be almost devastating for him. Yes, now he has ODM, but as Bwana Sankok warns, ODM has been known and has a history of doing things their own way. Don't you think that leaves William Ruto in a very weakened position politically, even as president, without Mount Kenya?
One of the smartest politicians in this country, and we cannot rule out, and we cannot ignore his intelligence politically, is William Samoei Ruto. Knowing that, it beats my understanding why is he shooting himself on the hip. Ruto. He has done so by so many things, which the question here now begs, going forward, is it about regions or is it about Kenya? How many people today, youth, old people, whatever age group, feel hurt by Mr. Ruto? How many? How many people feel uncomfortable with him? It is not about who is aligning him. He is aligning himself with who. That's not the question. Because that is only for optic, to show I have Nyanza, I have Western, but in that Western, how many people are happy with the Ruto, apart from Musalia Mudavadi and Wetangula, and those other members of parliament? Few. What does the common person who is the boss? Because my boss will not be Ruto. My boss would be that voter. The boss of Mheshimiwa Madugu here is not the speaker. It is the people of his constituency. So the boss of William Ruto are Kenyans, who comprises Mutambu, Songok, I don't know who. Those are the boss of Mr. Ruto. How are they feeling? Are they happy with him? So if I was Mr. Ruto, I would concentrate more on building my trust, regaining back, because Ruto has lost trust with Kenyans, let me say that. And walk around across the country. Forget about those who sit with him, or those who dine with him, those who are making the contracts with him, those who are in offices. They are telling him, Your Excellency, sir, everything is okay, kila kitu ni mzuri sana. All right? That's what they are telling him. But is that the truth on the ground? So what Ruto need to do is to audit his trust. Do people trust him anymore going 2027? So whether you remove Gachagua, you don't remove him, I don't know, you get Kidiki or you don't get Kidiki, you get Wanga, you don't get Wanga, you get Mudavadi, you don't. What are the people saying or feeling about you? Because he's a Christian, I want to revive him to the Bible. Where Jesus asked his disciples, what are the people saying out there about me? And they said, you know, they are. Then he asked them, forget about them. What about you?
What do you think I am?
Who do you think I am? You yourself. So if he gets that and he goes deep and have a meeting with himself, let William Ruto have a meeting with Samoei somewhere and ask himself and ask questions. What is the feeling of Mutambu who are out there? What are they feeling about me? That is the answer. The answer is not who is getting from what region. Because Ruto knows today, 100%, come rain, come sunshine, that Mount Kenya is gone. It is not with the William Ruto. All of it, Mount Kenya, all of it. And I told you the other time, I'm married from there. And I have no shame. And I know my in-laws, how they behave. They have gone. If there is any left, it is those who are holding some key position, Kina Kimani Chungwa, and those who have position. But the rest, and these are the same people who Uhuru Kenyatta thought, because I am the president, I will go around Mount Kenya 1 week and everything will be okay. My friend, my friend. Today, it is done. Ruto, Mount Kenya is no more. So as he's doing his arithmetics, I will not concentrate with who I'm bringing on board if I were Ruto. I would concentrate with the feeling of Kenyans across the board, what they think about me and what I need to do to bring that faith back. But without that, 2027.
Let's talk about Mount Kenya. Right now, yes, we've talked about the president. Do you feel, coming from Mount Kenya region, that now you are isolated, that everyone else is on the other side, as they say, 41 against 1?
In fact, we are not at that position, because it could be that position if the likes of Kaloso and Wamaruas joined the government. Then it could be now at that picture.
It's not yet as lonely.
But as much as those other leadership of communities, when you bring the likes of Kaloso in, the likes of Wamarwa, then it tells you you are not totally isolated. The only isolation we feel is that we prayed the biggest law to create this government. And when Ruto was on a critical need to have somebody to work with him at that last minute when he needed support most, then the Mount Kenya decided not to listen to one of their own, but to support that particular soldier who has been injured. And I think at this point in time, that is the feeling of Mount Kenya. So what did we do? And have we forgotten? And if we have forgotten, how quickly? That is the only view. But I can tell you, it's not over. I believe what Mount Kenya will do, they will, as we stand, they are silent. And they are watching the process to the end. And they will not utter their word.
2 years only into this administration, and you lose half of 50% of your support. That should be devastating for the president. Do you think it's really necessary for him to go through, because he's been silent on this issue of the impeachment? We were hoping he would call that PG meeting and probably at least his verbalization of his intention would be known. Don't you think that probably it's a bit careless of the president to lose 50% of his support 2 years in?
Fred, you know, if you are advisor of the president, you'll be one of the wrong advisors of the president.
I'm only asking
you will have called for that PG meeting. It will be another ground for nullifying the whole process. Because if you call for a PG meeting, you have a conflict of interest because this is your deputy. Again, the Speaker of the National Assembly has pronounced himself. Is enough ground together with the deputy speaker. So if you are advising the president to call for a PG meeting to discuss impeachment of his deputy in State House, then there will be a lot of ground. But coming to your point of losing 50% of his support, that is not true. It is a misconception. The president have not lost any ground. He still had Mount Kenya. You remember, we already had Mount Kenya before he decided whether it was be Kindiki, running mate, or Gachagua. Already Mount Kenya was with us, the Tangatanga brigades, and were already we were just choosing because it was constitutional that you must have a running mate. And that is why we said...
You don't believe the ground has shifted even a bit?
No, the ground have not shifted. Now, what I fear most, if it is true they were promised the deputy president position to Gladys Wanga, and then it is not delivered, it will be the 5th time William Ruto is hurting Raila Odinga. And I told you, the Maasai people say a wounded lion is more dangerous there in the bush. And then if the impeachment process have gone through, because by not delivering Wanga, it means the impeachment process have gone through. Now you will not have one lion that is wounded in the bush. You will have 2 of them. Gachagua and Raila Odinga. I'm telling you, 2027, we'll have to up our game. And though I'm in geopolitics, I still hear a bit of what is happening here. And I may be forced in 2027, though my term end, and thank you for your vote, because you gave me your vote. Thank you for your vote. I really do appreciate. And I may be forced to come and try to rescue the situation, because it will be more dangerous. It will be more dangerous. The fighting against the deep state and the system will be considered as a walk in the park as compared to what we will face in 2027.
2 years in, this administration has been highly criticized for failing to deliver on the 422 promises that you've listed. Do you think that it's? Do you think it could be considered a bit careless for the president to create more enemies and very few friends at this time?
I think the president has his own reasons for deciding to drop his deputy, but I would look at it differently. Who needs more of the other? Does the mountain need the government, or the government needs the mountain? By their very nature, the people of Mount Kenya are very hardworking. In fact, the last time I checked, Mount Kenya region and their diaspora cousins in the counties of Nakuru, Kisii,
Narok.
Nzoia, Narok, actually contribute about 50% of the taxes of this country. They run all the successful local enterprises. They run industry. They're in academia. And so, in as much as politically they may be isolated for the time being, they're very critical. They're still very critical in running of this country. If I was a president, I would look for a way of trying to retain them so that this country can develop, because they're actually the engines of development. Look at, I come from a tea growing area, and my farmers got a paltry 20 shillings tea bonus, while the people in Mount Kenya were getting as much as 50, 60 shillings. That shows you that even in the critical sector of agriculture, they are the drivers. And so, we have to be careful. As we isolate them politically, they don't sabotage us economically, because that is more dangerous, and they can go that route, by the way. And so, I think it's not over. And as much as you say he may have lost them, I think he can make new friends. And my prayer really is, if it was possible even today, that the deputy president and the president sit, and all this becomes a smoke. It was just smoke, and then we move on. Really, that is what happens. Even in households, sometimes we disagree, even in families. But then it is never such a serious disagreement that we